What's up, everyone? Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are watching me from. Let me just fix my mic real quick. Hi, everyone. This is Maria Malik, your corporate speaking coach. Do say hello to me in the chat box if you are watching right now, and let me know where exactly you are joining me from. I love seeing what parts of the world that I reach, so I always go back and look at the comments. So do say hello in the chat box. Also, let me know, are you watching this live or are you watching the recorded version? Do let me know in the chat box before we get started. So today we are going to be talking about the 5 rude things that introverts do in the workplace. So I've been doing a lot of research on introverts, people in the workplace, things like that. And I realized that I'm always looking at it from the vision of an introvert, and I never look at things from the vision of an extrovert. So I thought it'd be a great idea to share with you some things that extroverts think that we introverts do and that they find very rude in the workplace. So I thought that would be an interesting topic. Do let me know what you think of it, and if you do want to see things more from an extrovert's perspective, because I think that will help us understand ourselves a little bit better as well. But before we continue, before anything, I do want to invite you to my masterclass. I only have a very few of these left. So do join me on my masterclass if you're an introvert, if you would like to get better at public speaking, if you'd like to overcome your fear of public speaking, especially in the workplace, then you're going to find the masterclass extremely helpful. In order to sign up, you have to go to www.speakatwork.com. It is also on my profile. Go onto my profile. There's a direct link, so you should be able to sign up. I only have 100 spots available, unfortunately. That's just the maximum that I can take in per masterclass. So join me on the next one. Like I said, there's very few left. All right, so let's get back to the 5 rude things that introverts do in the workplace. If you're an introvert, let me know in the chat box. Introvert, I can already recognize some of you. I have the chat open so I can see you right now. I recognize some of you from my other chat. So thank you so much for always being here and supporting me, by the way. If you're an introvert, let me know that you're an introvert. If you're an extrovert, let me know that you're an extrovert. And if you feel like you're in the middle somewhere, do let me know as well, because I do want to know who you are. So as I was saying, I was doing some research on introverts, people in the workplace, all of that stuff, because I have lots of great things coming up in the new year, by the way. So I decided to look at things more from an extrovert's perspective. And these are some of the things that I found that our friends, the extrovert think we introverts do. So number 1, okay, and this one I was kind of surprised at because I didn't see it as this way, but apparently for extroverts, they think this is very rude. So they get upset that we don't greet them every morning. So if you're an introvert, you walk into work and it takes, I think for most introverts and most people in general, it takes us a little bit of time to get into the groove of things. But I think especially for us introverts, because we're already anticipating that the day is going to require a lot of our energy and it's going to require a lot of our time. So when we come in, we're always a little bit more quiet because we're trying to always preserve our energy, preserve it for when it really matters and for those meetings and for those times when it's very important. So I used to do this as well. And I noticed that in the beginning, I would say hello to everyone. Eventually, slowly, I stopped saying hello just because it was repetitive and I felt like I see you every day. Like, do I have to say hi every single time I see you? And the other thing was, I was always trying to preserve my energy, like I said, as introverts tend to do. But apparently, extroverts think of that as something very rude. I know it is common sense. You think that, hey, when you see somebody, you should say hello, especially at work. But we introverts don't think of it as that way, right? We think that it's just another day and I'm just here at work again. I'd rather, again, use my energy for something that's important and something that is really going to require me to give my 100%, right? So I know it's something small, but for us introverts, even just when we speak, just when we say hello, it exhausts or depletes our energy. And it's so interesting because even for me, like I have to plan out my lives. I have to plan out my videos so carefully, and I have to do them every morning because I know once I do this, after me talking, for 5, 10 minutes, even like 20 minutes, I need a break. So I never have my meetings back to back. I always have a 1 hour gap in between. But just goes to show, right? Even speaking just itself requires a lot of energy for most of us introverts. So that's why we don't say good morning all the time. It's not us being rude or that we don't acknowledge that you're there. It's just that we are trying not to deplete our energy. So, but this was an interesting one, but this is something that extroverts find rude, and we'll work on it. We'll try to work on it. The second thing is that extroverts think that we are not really interested in other people's lives. Okay. That means not these kind of lives, but in their actual day-to-day life and what's going on in their life. So extroverts, we all know, love talking. They love socializing. They love talking about their weekend and what they did with their family. They're all about that, which is amazing. Hats off to people that can do all of that. But us introverts, on the other hand, we have a bit of a hard time with this one, right? Because again, it requires talking, it requires socializing, it requires speaking. And most introverts, they're more on the quiet, shy side. So it's harder for them to communicate so openly and so freely. But unfortunately, extroverts see that as being very rude. So extroverts, again, naturally love to talk about things. They will talk about so many different things, and they get their energy from that, right? Which is so interesting to me because it's like complete opposites. And it's funny because me and my husband, we were just talking about this the other day. So my husband's an extrovert. I'm a complete introvert. I can be home all day. And then as soon as I'm done working, I'm sitting on that couch, I turn on the TV, I'll make myself something to eat, and I'm like, okay, I can't wait to just not do anything, sit at home and just relax. Whereas my husband, as soon as he's done work, he's out the door. He's like, all right, I got to get out. I got to do something. Even though he has no idea where he's going, who he's going to meet, what he's going to do, he's just like, I need to get out. I need to get my energy back by meeting people, by socializing, by getting out there, right? So that just goes to show how us introverts and extroverts are, right? We might not, as introverts, we might not seem like we're interested in your life, but most of the time we just don't know how to talk about it, or we don't know how to make small talk, or we don't know what to say, right? Also, we think that, hey, if I start asking you about your day, you're going to ask me about my day. And we are not people that like to share so much, right? So apparently this is something that extroverts find a little bit rude, but I promise you, introverts do care. They just don't know how to communicate it as well. Okay. And if you're just joining me right now, hello, I do have my chat box open. Do say hello and let me know where you are from. Also, let me know if you're an introvert or extrovert, because that's kind of our topic of discussion today. 5 rude things that introverts do in the workplace. And we're looking at things more from an extrovert's point of view and hoping that extroverts understand how us introverts work a little bit more. All right. So we covered 2 things so far: that extroverts find it very rude that we do not say hello or good morning right when we walk into the office. And number 2, that we seem like we are not as interested in their lives when in fact we're just afraid that we're going to get asked those questions. And then what are we going to say? Right? Because if you're anything like me, if you're a true introvert, you have a very boring life. And I like it that way. I like being at home. I like it when there's nothing going on. I'm just at home, relaxing, watching TV with my dog, all of those great things. And again, that's what gives you energy. Sorry, it's my husband. I'm going to block him. All right. So number 3, another thing that extroverts think that we introverts do that is maybe a little bit rude is that we decline invitations to get together outside of work. Now, here's something that I feel like most extroverts need to understand. When us introverts are at work, right, that is us already out of our comfort zone. We're already socializing. We already feel like we're doing more than we're capable of. So when it comes to those invitations where it's like, hey, you want to come out after work, do this. For us, that's just an added load, right? It's an added task that we try to stay away from because, again, it comes down to energy, right? It's not that we don't like socializing. We'd love to socialize, but at the end of the day, when the whole day has gone, you're 8 hours at work, you're driving to work, driving back, going back to the energy has already depleted so much that thinking of, okay, another hour or two outside of work, more socializing with other people is just going to drain us even more. But I had no idea that this was something that extroverts found kind of rude from us introverts. But I can see why, right? Obviously, like extroverts, they like to go out, they like to socialize, they love happy hour, they love just talking and getting to know more people. But I want you guys to hear from the other side. It's not that we don't want to do these things. It's just at the end of the day, we're just tired. We're tired. We want to go home. We don't want to do anything else. I think you'd have better luck if you were asking someone to come out on a Saturday or Sunday where they don't have a full day of work. I think that would work out much, much better. So that's number 3. Let's move on to number 4. And this is something, it's so weird to me because when I look at these things, I'm like, for me, this is just, it's so normal. I didn't think it was something crazy or out of the ordinary. But number 4 of the things that introverts think that we do, as introverts do, that is weird, is that we sit alone during lunch or large meetings. So when I was working in the corporate world, when I would go into a hall, like a conference room, I would try to find a seat that's completely far away from everyone. Even if I've made a few friends and I know some people, I still try to sit far away because, again, it's one of those things where I think us introverts are used to being alone. We like just sitting down with our thoughts and saving our energy for when we need to speak, for when we need to present or do all those great things. But sitting alone during a meeting or sitting alone, these are right there, or sitting alone during lunch break, it's just a little bit more time for us to be lost in our thoughts, which I think we actually enjoy doing. Like I could, like I said, sit on that couch, read a book for hours and not get up, watch 15 hours of television and feel perfectly fine, right? That sitting alone, not doing anything, it's very peaceful to us. We don't see it as, oh, we are being rude or we're not socializing with other people. That's just how we like to be. And I can see why and how that would come off as rude. So I think for introverts that do that, that like sitting alone or like having lunch alone, I think maybe find 2 or 3 people at work that you feel comfortable around, that you don't feel like drain a lot of your energy, because obviously there's different types of people. You can find other introverts at work as well, right? And the funny thing is, I think introverts are very good at hiding the fact that they are introverts in the workplace because they're trying to fit in. So do try to find your true introverts at work and have lunch with them. And if you're going into large meetings, don't be that way, right? I'm telling myself this too. I had to like push myself to go and sit next to everybody so that I don't look like I'm trying to avoid people, because I can totally understand why that would come off as being rude. By the way, if you can relate to any of this stuff, do let me know in the chat box that, yep, I can totally relate. This is something I always do, or it's something I try to do and try to avoid people. Do let me know in the chat box. By the way, you guys, if you're just joining me, I do want to invite you to my masterclass. If you're an introvert, if you're looking to get better at public speaking, overcome that fear of public speaking, especially in the workplace, then it's going to be very, very helpful to you. So do join me. You can claim your seat at www.speakatwork.com. If you go onto my profile, you'll see a direct link just to make it a little bit easier for you. But do join me, grab yourself a seat, and I'll see you on my next masterclass, which is happening very, very soon. And I only have a few more of these left, so do take advantage of it if you haven't already. All right, so we've talked about 4 things so far, 4 things that extroverts think are rude that we introverts do in the workplace. So let's go over the last one, okay? And again, this is one of those things that I, as an introvert, did not think it was that big of a deal, but apparently it is, and it comes off as very rude to people. So that is that we introverts wear headphones. Okay, so we'll wear headphones all day. So we'll have our headphones in. We think that, okay, we're just like listening to music. We're just zoning in, doing our work, no big deal. But in fact, what's actually happening and the way that extroverts see it is that they think, oh, we're being ignored, right? They don't want to be talked to, us introverts, which honestly, it is usually the case. We don't like talking, we don't like socializing unless if we absolutely have to. And we already know that a workplace is designed for extroverts, right? It's not designed for introverts quite as much. And especially now that everyone's going back into the workplace, I think you guys are going to start noticing this more and more, right? So if you see an introvert wearing headphones, please don't think that they're being rude or that they don't want to talk to you or that they don't like you or they're not interested in your life and stuff. It just means that they like being in their own zone. And that's just how we concentrate better. Okay. So that's really why we are doing it. So please don't take offense to that. But again, I can totally see it from an extrovert's perspective as well on how that can be rude. So again, you guys, that was 5 rude things that introverts do in the workplace. And I decided to do this because I think all of these things, right, number 1 to 5, they're very normal for us introverts. We don't see them as being rude. We don't see them as being disrespectful, but I can see why to extroverts this would come off as being rude or disrespectful. So I do apologize on behalf of all introverts, but I do want extroverts to understand that this is just how we function. It's nothing personal. It's just the way that we think and the way that we behave. We like being alone. We like reading. We like sitting at home watching TV. We don't want to go out and do those extra things if they're not absolutely necessary. That's just how we work. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Again, the 5 things. And for introverts, I do want you to also keep this in mind. Let's say you do have headphones in and there's an extrovert there, they're trying to talk to you. Don't be rude and, just take off those headphones and talk to your friends, the extroverts. So again, let's do a quick recap of the 5 things. Number 1 is that we don't greet people in the morning. Maybe we do sometimes, but we might not be so consistent with it. So if you are an introvert, just try to be a little bit more consistent. Just say hi, good morning. It doesn't have to be a whole conversation in the morning. And I think that's what we're afraid of too, that our hello or hi is going to turn into a whole conversation. And then again, energy starts depleting. So number 2, we seem like we're not interested in your personal life at work. And turns out that we are just afraid that we're going to get asked those questions and we don't know how to respond, or we're not that great at communication, and anxiety levels and fears start rising. So we try to avoid asking you questions just so we don't get those questions back in return. Number 3 was that we decline a lot of invitations to get together outside of the workplace. That might mean for like socials, if we don't have to be there, we'll try not to be there. It could mean just happy hour, all of those things. Again, especially at the end of the day, energy is depleted. For us to go out for another few hours, it's a little bit difficult. So don't find that rude. And introverts, once in a while, do try to go. Number 4, that we sit alone during lunch or we'll find a seat on the end somewhere during large meetings. And that's just, I think it's just like a natural instinct. Like when I walk into a room, I always sit on the side somewhere. My first instinct isn't to like go sit right in the middle of where everyone is, where I think extroverts, naturally, they'll just gravitate more towards where everyone is sitting, because for them, the more people they're around, the better. And number 5 is that we'll sometimes wear our headphones all day. So even though we're at work, we'll have our headphones in because we're just trying to be in our zone, right? We're just trying to be in our zone and we're trying not to get distracted and charge up our battery again, especially if it's the afternoon, more closer to the end of the day. But yep, that can seem very rude. I can totally see why. But these are the 5 things that extroverts might find rude that we introverts do in the workplace. So I hope this was helpful. And if you do these things, do try to change some of them. But I also hope that extroverts, if you guys are watching, do let me know who you are, extroverts. If you're an introvert, let me know in the comments that you're an introvert. If you do these things, then again, just try to understand both sides, right? I'm sure as introverts, we'll try a little bit harder in making sure that we're not doing these things, or at least we're saying just like that initial hello in the morning. And extroverts, if you do see an introvert completely zoned in, they have their headphones in, it just means they're in their zone and they are just trying to charge their energy. So don't take offense to that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more videos on introverts and versus extroverts, do let me know. I think it's really good for both of us to understand the other side more, because most of the time it's just a matter of not understanding the other person that well, right? So I want us both to understand each other better, especially in the workplace, just so we can make it a more enjoyable environment for everybody. All right, you guys. So if you haven't already, I will see you at my masterclass. Do sign up, www.speakatwork.com. Take care. Bye.